Welcome back. Well, as load shedding, of course, returns, stage 2 started at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Still no word from President Cyril Ramaphosa about what plans are going to be implemented to get enough electricity on the grid. Last week, on Monday, the President said in his weekly newsletter to the nation that he'll soon be making big announcements that would result in the end of load shedding to get more power on the grid over time. The President himself went to the Tutuka power station over the weekend. Cas Covadia is the CEO of Business Unity South Africa. He joins us now. Cas, good afternoon to you. What do you want to hear from the President when he does speak?
Well, I think we've sort of detailed that in our statement. Essentially, I think we all know what to do. We need to remove all obstacles to enabling the private sector to generate power and to get that onto the Eskom grid as quickly as possible. It seems to be now common cause that there's sabotage at Eskom. President needs to send in a crack team, law and order and intelligence people, find out who's sabotaging, identify them, bring them to book, deal with copper theft and those sorts of things and treat it as an emergency. I think that we need to ensure, remove the ceiling on the embedded energy, while limited to 100 megawatts. We've been saying for quite some time, create the environment for investment, and investment will happen. When the President raised the ceiling to 100 megawatts from what was 10 megawatts before what the Minister wanted, and NERSA sorted out each sort of processing of this, we now have about 20 odd projects ready to go. Unfortunately, it will be 18 months before any energy they generate gets onto the system. So we just need to unblock whatever blockages there are. We need to send out a single message from government that we're in crisis. We're going to have load shedding for a while, but this is what we're doing to over the next 18 months to 2 years ensure that we get out of this. And it's those sorts of messages that we need.
Could there be some sort of political fight going on in the background? I mean, the President said last week on Monday that in coming days there will be an announcement. There hasn't been one yet. I understand the passing of Jesse Duarte over the weekend may have delayed things. Do you think there's something going on in the background?
I don't know, Stephen. We hear that he is consulting, he's meeting, amongst others, experts in the energy field and so on. And we accept that. All we can say is that whatever is holding up the announcement, let's get that done with, and let's announce a plan as quickly as possible. We do need to do that as a matter of urgency. We've said in our statement that we stand ready as the private sector to work with government on the back of a pragmatic plan to do what we can. And, Eskom released or put out to tender land next to power station in Mpumalanga and in KwaZulu-Natal. And that was oversubscribed, the leasing of the land. And the purpose of that is to actually put up power stations to produce renewable energy. And that was oversubscribed. So it shows that the demand from the private sector to actually invest in different forms of cleaner energy is there. So just enable that demand to happen and announce a plan as quickly as possible and work with the private sector to actually start doing this.
You talked earlier about a sort of single message, and I think to a point this may now be about whether this may be a test of confidence in the Ramaphosa administration. I say that very specifically because he's the one who made the promise in his own newsletter. I realize that load shedding is not his fault or his fault alone. Do you think that this talk of another SOE, Eskom 2, is that going to muddy the water? I don't know. I haven't yet come across anyone who thinks Eskom 2 is a good idea.
It shouldn't be muddying the water. It's just a non-starter as far as we are concerned. Just open up the energy environment. The Eskom executive is quite clear that they cannot be the only player in the field anymore, and that the private sector should get involved, and the private sector should produce energy, and there should be more competition. Competition will happen if you just open it up. You don't need ESCOM 2.0 or whatever it is. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I've battled with this for the last couple of days, and I can't find any rationale to establish and fund and go through a lengthy process, because it would be a lengthy process, of establishing another state-owned entity to compete with a state-owned entity that's battling to actually survive. Fix up that entity. Get the best possible resources and capacity to fix up that entity and to enable a more diversified mix of energy in our country. That happens with the involvement of the private sector. That happens with the private sector and ESCOM working together on it. And that happens with the removing obstacles, not building another SOE, with all due respect.
Cas Coovadia, thank you very much indeed. He, of course, is the CEO of Business Unity South Africa.